Adam, what do you attribute your success to? Because a lot of people look at you and like, this is a guy with tattoos who fucks chicks and he rides BMX bikes, but you're a very successful guy. And I'm curious why you think you made it this far.
I've just really been working my ass off for a long ass time. Like I started my BMX blog in 2006, and that was the only thing I was doing until like 2015, 16. And like, you know, at the end of that, like 10 years of doing the BMX website, I started to do podcasts and started to do vlogs, started to get some traction with that. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can interview some fucking rappers. I'm going to start a second channel and do that. You know, it's always just like had kind of chip on my shoulder of like just wanting to think up ideas and accomplish them, you know? And
yeah.
Sort of, I don't know. I honestly feel like I don't know what the fuck I would be doing if I wasn't.
I think you're
I don't know, make content or do something.
I think your people skills are also really strong too, which makes his interviewing so great. One of your people skills in particular, Adam22, the guy I incidentally double vaginal a chick with, has the same quality that Adam22 has. You don't seem like you ever think you're really better than anybody.
Right.
It seems like you'll be friends with a guy who's got no followers, no skills. He's just a guy who hangs out with a 40 and gets drunk. Like, you would be friends with that guy as readily as you would be with somebody who's got all this shit going on in their life.
I think if you're going to do interviews especially, though, you can't really, like, act like you're better than the person you're talking to. Like, I'm really trying to, like, bring myself in my mind, like, to their level, like, wherever they're at. Like, if they're a fucking 19-year-old rapper, I kind of want to, like, meet you there. Like, I'm not going to try to.
What is a 19-year-old
So
rapper
if he was
like?
interviewing Swolby, he'd put ice on his dick for a full 24 hours before the interview.
No, definitely.
Were you always open-minded from the beginning? Were you shy? Like
With your penis? With his penis, you mean?
No, like not with the cock. Just like when talking to people, like socially.
No, it took a while for me to like get used to it because at first I was just writing blogs online. You know, like the idea of even being on camera hadn't really hit me yet until maybe like 2011, 2012. And then I started to really do the stuff on camera. And at first it was super awkward. And like, I remember just sitting in front of the camera, just feeling like frozen.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, how am I going to do this? And like, but I never had a hard time with somebody pointing a camera at me. I was always all right at that. But the idea of just like sitting alone in my room and making a YouTube video was like fucking terrifying at first. Yeah. But then, I don't know, I just kind of like, I had a ton of anxiety about doing interviews at first because it just felt really, really like overwhelming. Like, you know, even when I would be doing an interview with like a BMX dude who was my friend, I would feel fucking nervous as shit all day to do one podcast that night. And this would be somebody that I knew very well and is not really that big a deal. And, but then I just kind of like beat it out of myself by doing thousands of fucking podcasts.
And it's interesting that I didn't realize this before, but I started my comedy journey with written word too. It wasn't blogs, it was Amazon books. And it's interesting that you were doing a pure text BMX blog for so long. Why did you switch to podcasts? Was it partially because you thought there was going to be more money in those? They were going to be the future?
It was like 2012, and I started to realize like, oh, like the traffic on my website, which was like the dominant website in the BMX world, was starting to kind of go down like year after year. And even though I was kind of introducing like new shit, more content on the site and more different things to get us more page views and shit, it was like consistently going down. Like and I was just starting to realize like 2012, like this thing that you've been grinding your ass on for 6 years is kind of losing relevance. Like this blog thing is just not really maybe going to be even a thing in a couple of years. Like it's just going away slowly. And so I started to like really do some exploring, and I, you know, just wanted to just do more shit to make my BMX brand cool. So we got a store downtown, and that kind of became like a big part of it. All of a sudden we're doing these meetups and jams, and I'm like, okay, and we're selling bike parts, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is like more of a reason for our shit to exist. Why the website is interesting is because we're, you know, having a shop and having like a real community and stuff. And then I also was going around doing vlogs, just going to the skate park or riding street or whatever. And that started to kind of be like the thing that was keeping me excited about doing this website as well, like just the overarching brand name. And then I started doing the interviews, and that was what really started to like, you know, and it also just started to occur to me like, oh, I can do a vlog going to the skate park and riding with people. Why don't I also do a vlog going to a rap show? And then all of a sudden I like would get a couple 100,000 views on a vlog from a rap show, and I'd be like, oh fuck, this is actually starting to turn into something. Yeah,
that's really impressive how when your traffic was going down in the blog year after year, instead of giving up, you just pivoted. You just took a lot of the skills you already had and applied those to something slightly different
Yeah.
that was more relevant with the time. I feel like a lot of people in that situation would have just gone and gotten a normal job after their blog traffic ticked down for 3 straight successive years.
It was like a very, very stressful time period in my life because honestly, that's when I went back to mailing pounds of weed back to the East Coast because it's like in my head, I was like, I need money and I'm not going to fucking make some crazy amount of money off the website. So I was like, I said, I'm going to do a few different things. I'm going to grind hard as fuck to like sell drugs basically and get money so that I can open a bike shop. And then also I'm going to fucking like do these vlogs and shit of us like going out riding because that's another good way to make money because I was making maybe a couple $100 off each vlog or whatever. So I'm thinking like if I really grind this shit and do this every day, I can make some money doing that, which will help me open the bike shop. And then I was also thinking like once I get the bike shop, I'm going to start doing podcasts out of there too. Like I kind of realized in like 2012, like, oh shit, like social media is taking over everything.
Yeah.
And that was just like such an important realization to have. Even 2012 feels kind of late to me in a way. Like I should have known that in 2006. But 2012 is when I really started to be like, okay, I'm going to really go hard trying to build something on YouTube. And how many Twitter followers I have matters to me. Like, I don't give a fuck about that now. But like at that time, I was like, damn, like, if I fucking get 10,000 followers instead of 1,000, then I might be able to sell 10 times as many t-shirts.
Were people, when you made that transition, were people around you, were people who were had been following you for a while, were they hating on it? Like when you tried to go vlog a rap show where the hardcore BMX kids, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Stay in your box.
Maybe, yeah, like the hardcore ones for sure. Because like we already got so much hate because we were like the BMX company that had brand new rap songs in every fucking video while like everybody's editing to like 70s rock and shit. And we're like, oh, like Gucci fucking Trap God album just came out. Like we're going to edit to all this like trap shit from Atlanta that we were listening to at the time. And, you know, people were mad as fuck when we were fucking with all the SoundCloud rap in like 2014, 2015. And we were using that in our videos. But, you know, I always considered like what I'm doing BMX wise to like, it always had like such a big element of rap music in it because every video we put out was us pushing some rapper that we were just super into. So like, even though I started No Jumper in like 2015, 2016, the fact that I had been like really like kind of basing my BMX brand around rap music for years and years before that was kind of like the precursor to that. But for sure, I got hate, and especially the vlog shit. Like, you know, in skateboarding, it's like the vloggers and the hardcore industry or like core skater dude is like a constant conversation. So yeah, I definitely got a lot of hate back then, but I also was like, even at that time, it's like I was doing vlogs that were getting like millions of views of us going out riding BMX. So I was like, bro, I just made fucking $5,000 off a video. Like, what the fuck are you gonna tell me? Like, I don't give a shit about what some hardcore dude tells me when like, because the whole thing that makes vlogs corny and BMX or skateboarding or whatever is that the dudes take on like the personality of like a child to basically appeal to children, you know? So they make their videos like super kiddie and shit. And, like, my vlogs were like, no, we're gonna go ride BMX all day, and then we're gonna go kick it with chicks, and we're gonna go to parties, and you're gonna be able to like see people doing drugs or people like blatantly on coke in our videos. That's when we really started to get hate in the BMX world too, because it was so obvious that we were just going out and partying, and like we would have 10 minutes at the end of the vlog that's just iPhone footage from the bar of like people just talking shit, and that's people got mad as fuck about that.
Why was the BMX scene really straight edge, or like they portray a image of like being straight edge for?
Because it's like at the end of the day, you're kind of in an industry where people are essentially doing a kid's sport, you know, where it's like the majority of BMX bike customers are fucking 15, 16-year-old kids. But then like the top pros are 25-year-old dudes who are at the bar doing fucking coke and drinking and shit and fucking random girls. And so it's like, it's always like this weird thing where like marketing wise, the BMX dudes that are pro are smoking weed in the videos and they're drinking in the videos and they're doing whatever. And then like the primary consumer is a lot of times like a 16-year-old kid that thinks that this shit's cool. And that's always like kind of a weird thing. I used to get so much shit for even putting weed in our videos back in like 2011. People just were like, it's just for kids, like, you know, and like it was hard for people to understand that it's like, we don't give a fuck about like the kids. Like we're fucking, this is like us showing our life. Like if like, I don't really give a fuck if like some kid's gonna see it and make a bad decision as a result. Like that's not my problem. Yeah.
Adam, you mentioned that you saw the importance of social media toward the end of your blogging career. Now, 2022, are there any trends that you see going on in social media that you think are going to be the future, and is that influencing your business plan at all?
That's interesting. I mean, like, when you think about it, it's like everything people are doing is just making your content easier for people to access. Like the fact that everybody who does podcasts now has like an editor who like basically turns it into TikToks and Reels, just because it's easier to get your content to people on Instagram than, you know, on YouTube. And when I think about it, like the reason why I wanted to have a Facebook page at one point was like to get our links to the videos that we were posting out to more people on Facebook. And then it just slowly became like, oh no, your video is not going to get seen by anybody unless you put the actual video on Facebook. And that's the thing that will go viral. And it's just like, that's kind of like the way social media is like, it just keeps being about like getting the shit to people easier and easier and easier. And like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's one of the biggest ones. There's like a huge shift towards like, you're a pretty good example of this, of just like high quality vlogs. You know, Nelk Boys are obviously symptomatic of that, or David Dobrik or whatever, of like, you know, people don't want to see like a shitty 30-minute like uncut vlog of you these days. They want to see like you actually put some effort in, because there are so many YouTube channels that are well funded that are really trying to build brands and like, you know, are really going hard. Now it's kind of hard to compete unless you're actually like really putting work in. So I feel like quality is just a huge part of it. Like if I was going to become a YouTuber from scratch right now, I'd probably be focusing on not even making long videos, or just making like, you know, the best like 5-minute video that's like super action packed that I could, because I feel like, you know, people who like stretch their videos to be like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of like shit footage is like, that shit is so out. People want you to get the shit to them in a reasonable time frame, I think.
And then another trend that I see you really jumping on right now is Patreon, paid content, putting out maybe one piece of content on like the Plug talk show or your No Jumper per week, and then like sort of like what we do, like then the pair or the twin Patreon episode later that week.
Yeah.
You seem to be doing that like across all of your platforms. Why did you switch to that? Because it was sort of recent. It was like about a year ago, maybe a little less, right?
We just had Patreon pressing us like, oh, you guys can make money if you do a Patreon or whatever. And, you know, we had been like kind of trying to figure out more like revenue sources and like more ways that we could just make the business make sense.
Patreon reached out to you, huh?
Yeah, they had been like hollering at us for a while. And at first I didn't want to do it because I felt like, you know that guy Sargon of Akkad?
Yes.
Who I really am not a big fan of, but they fucking deleted his Patreon account because he basically like he made a racist joke of some sort on someone else's podcast. It wasn't even on Patreon.
And Austin could talk about
white supremacist the N-word. That's what he got banned.
It was like ironic. There were like layers to it. It was not a racist thing he was doing.
And I'm not like a huge fan of him, but when that happened, Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, they pulled their shit off of Patreon.
I remember. I was on Patreon at the time, but it's good that you're reminding everybody of this.
And I wasn't even on Patreon at the time, but I remember just thinking like, that's fucking scary. Like Patreon will delete this guy for what was basically like an out of context fucking reference. Like I was just like really turned off by them. And then to be honest, like they kept bugging me about it. And I actually emailed them back at one point and was like, no, I don't appreciate your attitude on free speech on your platform, so I'm not interested.
That was dope.
But then like a month later, I backtracked on that because I realized I could make a bunch of money. So
You puss.
integrity.
Money talks,
integrity.
baby.
All right, guys, we hit 50,000 subscribers. Our next goal is 100,000 subscribers. So make sure you click that button to subscribe. We appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you.